Friday morning, can't control it. Fired up and counting every minute. Hands are shaking, eyes are burning. The time has come, yeah, this is not a warning. The week was just so long, we had to let it go. Our problems disappeared, we're not tied up anymore. The weekend is here. Sunday calls, we are sick and tired of it. Up and down, can you feel it? Up and down.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Johansson show. It's Kurt with another Reach Wrestling interview. This time, I guess he's one of the shiny new toys in Reach Wrestling, recently making his debut in Unit 10. It's Jordan Sparks. Jordan, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Now, really excited. Like, everybody was, all of a sudden, you just popped up. Like, was it Omega Luke that worked on your graphic picture?
Yeah, so I had Omega Luke work on it. I was like, well, I kind of would prefer to have, something, like, and if it's not like a promo, then at least just like a picture to show that, family and friends loved it as well. So I knew I'd get a good reaction out of that. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks fantastic, and it'll be the one that I'm using for the graphics. So everybody by now will know which one, like what I'm talking about. And like I said, the shiny new toy making your debut under weird circumstances. Like, not many people make their debut during a global pandemic.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
So obviously that may restrict because you don't have audiences to like feed off of. I know you've got some of the like other academy trainees around the ring, but first off, like, let's learn more about yourself. Like, why wrestling?
It's been a really big passion of mine, like for ages. For ages, I tried to like almost ignore it. I tried to, be like, oh, I'm gonna, grow out of it, and I'll never actually be able to get in there and wrestle. It kind of started when I wanted to pick out where I wanted to go for uni.
Yeah.
For like my first year, I was like, I want to pick a place that at least has like a training school, so that if I want to do it, it's there.
Yeah.
And I kept saying if I want to, I was going to, but I just didn't want to, say to myself, yeah, I'm going to give it a try. But yeah, I think something went wrong in my first year. I got like glandular fever or something, so I had to cut that off and start again next year. And then it was just in my last year of my first year of uni. In like October, I started to put on a bit of weight and like actually try and go to the gym. And then that's when I realized, like, well, if I'm actually going to try and go to the gym, then I might as well try and make it a fitness goal to actually like improve, and I can just give wrestling a try now. So at least I'm not, too small to do it. So that's when I was like, okay, I can give this a go.
So whereabouts are you originally from then?
So I'm from Swanage. It's a town about 40 minutes away from Bournemouth.
Okay.
It's like it's up from here. It's like southwest, but it's very small. Everyone knows everyone. It's one of those sorts of towns. Yeah.
So is it going around your town now, like when people see social media and like, that Jordan, he wrestles now?
Um, I wouldn't put it as far as like local celebrity status, but I put it up there with my mum tells everyone. Dad tries to get it in there whenever he can, and my brother is definitely telling everyone that he knows. But other than that, no.
Oh no, that's great to hear. So how are you being adjusting to life in like, so I'm guessing based in Plymouth now?
Yeah. So obviously, well, last year I lived in accommodation halls. Now I'm living on going back up and by the train station.
Yeah.
I'm just like moved in October, so it's pretty good. I really love Plymouth. I couldn't live. I lived that lockdown was possibly the hardest like 5 months of my life being stuck at home, not being able to wrestle or do anything else. It just sucked. And then now I'm in Plymouth, I'm like, thank God.
So what was it that grabbed you to wrestling in the first place? Like, what was your first memories of it?
So first memories of it was we had videos of No Way Out 2003 and Royal Rumble 2003. And I remember watching those on repeat every single time I came back from like, I must have been like 5 or 6, just like back sticking in the VHS tape and just constantly watching it back to back, back to back. I was obsessed. Like And then from there, that's when it like grew into like watching NXT when I was older and stuff like that.
Yeah. Is No Way Out 03, will that be the one where there's is it Rock and Hogan and there's Triple H and Steiner?
Yeah, so it wasn't by any means the best pay-per-view all the time. That was like always my thing now, where I feel like I could watch pretty much any match and like find positives from it if I could sit through Triple H and Scott Steiner constantly. I just loved
Yeah,
it.
definitely. It's funny that that was the one that you kept like just rewinding and rewinding and rewinding because it's Rock and Hogan, and I had the WrestleMania VHS as well, and I just wore that out just watching Rock and Hogan, Rock and Hogan, Rock and Hogan. What sort of characters was you gravitating towards?
Um, well, like even though I was younger, and obviously when I was younger, I'm not gonna know the actual like all the aspects of a match. But I was gravitating towards like obviously a little bit of the smaller guys because I was a big fan of Lesnar, like because obviously I was like so impressed that he could like even throw the Big Show at points. That was like a big thing for me. Another one was um, so Team Angle,
Yeah,
just that collective as a whole. And I think it was more Benoit and Edge. So if anything, it's like those SmackDown six.
yeah.
It was the Eddie, Edge, Chavo. Even Chavo, I was like, he looks so cool. Like just the SmackDown Six as a whole.
I think Chavo doesn't get the credit he deserves because he was, especially his WWE run, majority of it was running parallel to Eddie, and
Yeah,
anybody that's running parallel to Eddie is going to look inferior to Eddie.
exactly.
But like, I enjoyed his stuff when he was in TNA. I enjoyed it when he was in Lucha Underground because you got to see more of Chavo if you hadn't seen him in WCW prior. So let's talk. So you started going to the gym, you started getting a bit better shape. You think, right, I'm gonna do it. Um, so what was that first experience of stepping into Reach Academy like?
So I remember my first day pretty clearly. I went to Brickfields because that was before we moved to unit. I walked in and the first thing that I remember very clearly is I'd emailed them about coming,
Yeah,
but I didn't know who Matt was because I'd seen Matt like he'd be closing the email as that name, but
yeah.
I was like, who's Matt? Is Matt like the third trainer? Because there's Grayson here and there's Jason, and then I remember Jason was like, no, Matt is Grayson. I'm like, is he? It's like, yeah, Grayson's his wrestling name. I was like, right, okay, that makes sense. Um, but I remember stepping in there. It was like first day. I think it was obviously just like making sure I couldn't do rolls. So it was all about bodyweight control, safety, and stuff like that. I think they had me do like one bump, one or
Yeah.
two bumps, and the first bump was like, okay, now I understand why everyone says first bump is the hardest. So I was taking that bump and like they're like, all right. I mean, like it was okay. Did it feel okay? I'm like, not really. I was like, is there anything I can do best? Like, not really. That's just the way it is the first time. I'm like, oh, okay. Um, yeah, that was a really good session. Everyone was, really nice. Everyone was pretty welcoming. So that's what made me want to go back,
Yeah.
really.
What was the time frame like? When was this?
Oh, this was I'd say this was late October, early November was when I
Oh,
started.
and then less than a year, and you're making your debut
Yeah,
with
yeah,
a pandemic throwing like a lot of training off for a while as well.
yeah. It was I'd say that's just down to just when we switched units, like the amount of training time that we got when we
Yeah.
weren't at Brickfields. Like I'd go to every class I could, like before we separated it into like tier systems. I'd just literally go to like um and then maybe Wednesday if they'd allow me and Sunday all day.
So just became addicted to it.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. It'd be like I get the bus every single day, whether it's after work or whether it's on Sunday, like getting up extra early just to make sure I get over there quick enough.
No, no, brilliant.
Mm.
So, what's it been like training under Jason and Grayson, and like especially with them working with you? What have both of those been working on with you?
Um, Working with Jason and Grayson is like they're two completely different dynamics.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's hard to say because like they both talk about the same thing but just in a different way.
Yeah.
It's the way they put things across is completely different, but it's the same. It's like it's really confusing, but it's been really good. Like they've been great coaches. And working with me, there was like a lot of stuff where Grayson helped me with like I'd say maybe more timings and making sure that I do certain things in the ring, working over like my moves for a comeback because I had this whole diluted sequence in my head that I was gonna do, and he was there like, nope. He's like, scratch that. It's like this is what you're gonna do, and I was like, oh, that's literally like getting all the moves I want to do, but just condensing it. So
Yeah.
it's good. Jason obviously helps with the performance aspect, making sure that you're always giving like in training, like you're always trying to give your like match best. Like if it's not
Yeah.
match quality, then there's no point doing it because otherwise it comes off as a bit lazy. So he's always made sure that when we're repping, it's always match quality, match quality, match quality. Even if you're tired, it's just making sure you've always got that performance aspect about it.
Nah. So when you've been training, what it'd have been maybe about 4 months, and then bam, pandemic.
Yeah. So the July show I got cancelled. I was set to debut for a battle royal, and I was there like, I mean, at this point I was like, I'm pretty, excited about it, but at the same time, I'm nervous as anything because I've only been doing it for 4 months. So I'm like, I don't even know, like, you have like mock-up matches, but it's like it's not the same. Like you have I had my finisher sorted, but other than that, all I would do is a Russian leg sweep for sure, and that's it. Like I just love that move, so I was like, okay, well I can give it a try. And then obviously we're building up, I'm getting all my gear ready, and then all of a sudden the pandemic hits. So there goes the July show. So yeah, those 5 months. To be fair, they they could have been a lot worse, but I tried to make the most out of it just by like constantly working out, doing cardio. Because I was like, I need to kill. I was just thinking I've got 24 hours in the day. I need to kill those hours, whether it's taking like my really old dog for a walk, so it takes me an hour to get around the park, or working out for an hour, like doing as much uni work as I can before I don't have any more uni work to do. Those 5 months were really testing physically, mostly.
Yeah, I can imagine. So when you've been thinking of like who is Jordan Sparks, what's your identity in the ring going to,
Mhm.
what's that been like trying to establish that and trying to come up with who you are and what you're going to be like?
Yeah, I just obviously I can't say that I don't seek inspiration from people. Like there's always people who you look to and you think it'd be great if I was like them. Yeah. I mean, I've always said that the one thing that I want my Jordan Sparks character to be is intense.
Yeah.
I want that level of intensity that's not a match, but it's always there. You know what I mean? So like that's why I've always loved people like Chris Benoit because like although obviously his intensity was the reason for his downfall, like that intensity is what got him over so much. Like obviously you need that character there and that personality work, but like mostly if you have that intensity in the ring, that's what the people who's going to engage with the most. Like you work outside the ring, it may be great, but in the ring, if you can deliver that like consistency, that's what you need.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, again, with his downfall and the unfortunate like scenes that occurred,
Mm.
just his time in the ring and his like body of work, like I
Yeah,
said, it was flawless.
yeah,
I think at that point in time, he was probably one of my favorite wrestlers to
yeah.
watch because again, he was just so intense. And who else do you look at, or is it just mainly Benoit? Or
Uh,
do you really like studying in your spare time?
there's like, see, that's another thing with lockdown. I just spent like, it'd be like every day. I think of a star that I really liked from like YouTube, like the 2003 era. But if I could have gone further back, then I would have. And it'd be like, I'll just like spend the whole day just studying someone if I didn't have any work to do. I'd just be
Yeah,
like, right, go on the network, type in their name, and look at them in tag matches, single matches, multi-man matches, whatever I can. And it'd be like, I think obviously like one day I had to study Guerrero, make sure that I seen what he did and how he worked like a lot of forearm strikes and stuff like that, and how he made it look so snappy.
Yeah.
Triple H is another one. Big fan of Triple H. I just feel like everything that he's got and everything that he uses is like that's what makes him the person that he is. Like, there's no wasted motion.
Yeah.
There's nothing about him that you think he could have done that better, or if it is, that's because he's injured or something like that. Chris Jericho is another one. He's like I'm like huge on Chris Jericho. Believe it or not, I'm not a fan of his AEW work, but
Okay.
I understand it. You know what I mean? Like, I understand why he's doing it. It's just because, I mean, if I got to that age and I got, off that much money, then I would do it too. But
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't bring myself to watch it. I feel like it's like I'm like, oh, it's not the same person. It's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I've enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But there is some bits where I'm just like, but I think a lot of
Yeah.
that's just is reading on Twitter, and I
Yeah.
think part of it's like probably like an inside joke, and like, you know what, I'm gonna do it, and then it still gets over anyways, no matter how stupid it is. And
Oh
I
yeah.
think when you're capable of doing that, if you can get anything over, then you're deemed for success.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I can't knock his star power or his like ability to make something out of nothing. But I just feel like, I would like study religiously his work from WCW, because I
Yeah,
thought he literally had free reign. Like, they stopped caring, so
yeah,
he just did whatever he wanted. And when he did it, he got so over. Like, you can't help but not like him when he's doing stuff like the 1,004 holds. Like, I love that. Like, the three-handled, moss-covered family redundant and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
it's just hilarious. But like, and then he also goes to WWE and he has like a bit of like a stop start, and eventually he finds his footing and everyone loves him again. Like, he really knows how to get over, and he knows how to sell a character. That's the main
yeah,
thing. He knows how to adapt to a situation. Like AEW, he knew, like, he could tell if a bad business is going to be bad business, but like he knows that AEW, and he studies obviously their market, and he knows what gets over with that
yeah,
crowd. It's different to WWE, it's different to TNA. So
yeah. So when people are gonna tune into Unit 10, whether it's watching the old episodes or watching future episodes, like what can they expect when Jordan Sparks is in the ring?
what can they expect? That's a really good question. Um, Intensity, a bit of fire, a spark, pardon the pun. Um, Someone who's, I mean, grounded, but he's got a little bit of high flying. You know what I mean? He's like, I'd say it's like an all around like package.
Yeah,
You don't just get like a high flying. You don't just get the technical. You get a bit of everything, and that's
like
the sort of stuff.
hybrid.
Yeah, that's the sort of style I like to bring.
Yeah. No, I'd definitely agree from like watching the first three episodes, like definitely. And I want to get to that like shortly, but Reach have had some like incredible trainers. So who have you had the privilege of working with in like your short time before the pandemic hit?
Well, before the pandemic, yeah, I was going to get a Joe Rogan seminar, but not getting that killed me off. I was like, oh, so good. Um, we've had guest seminars from Iestyn Rees.
Yeah,
That was really really good, because obviously he's been to like the trials, so he like ran us through drills that they're gonna do.
yeah.
Another real eye opener was James Mason. That was like a really big one for me. So I was like, this is like the like trainer. This is insane. Like, it's like and that's where like I adopted one of my strikes. I love throwing headbutt.
Yeah.
They're like, I remember seeing it in like the Mason drill, and I was like, that looks so good. I was like, I just want to do that like, all the time. So yeah, those two were like real big key seminars because Yeston for one was because not only did it help with obviously in ring and getting used to that sort of the drills that are going to come, but it was also the fact that I messaged him outside and I spoke to him about dieting. And I got like a nutrition plan, training plan, and that just helped me massively. Like, I was very, very skinny still, and I gained a lot of weight, which is nice.
Oh, brilliant. And I think that's why it is so good. They bring in such a variety of people for um, the trainees. And again, like it's a testament to their coaching ability, because there's so many people that wouldn't have been training that long, debut relatively early, but it's not too soon for them, if that makes sense. Like it's early in terms of how long they've been training for, but when they get in the ring, to prove why they're there. A bit like yourself. So like you'd been training for a year, but 5 months of that was pandemic, being at home. And like episode 3, you faced Jason in a fantastic match. So how did it feel when you went back to training after like that 4 or 5 month break?
Obviously, it I shouldn't have, but you build up a lot of anticipation because you feel like, oh well, I'm out for 4 or 5 months. What if I'm just, what if like I don't bump the same? What if there's stuff that I have to change because of like, I don't know, like a bad habit popping up because you haven't done it for so long. Um, the moment, so I came back and I tried to do the sessions that I did before leaving for lockdown, which was like I do the whole Sunday. So that's like 6 hours or like 5 hours. I'll just do that because was meant to have one-to-one, got cancelled. So I was like, okay, well, I want to make sure that I don't just show up to advanced just because I think that I can go with advanced after like 5 months. So I did beginners too. It felt completely fine. It was like as soon as I even got in the ring, that was when I just like I just got all the confidence back. I was like, okay, like I know I'll be able to do this, and even if I do mess up, I can just do it again.
Yeah.
The day after though was reeling. I was like, I was literally like, I was in bed. I was like, I feel fine, and I went to use my legs, and I was like, I do not feel fine. Doing double cardio was not a good choice.
I'm just picturing it. I'm fine, and it's one of those where you just swing your legs out, you go to stand up, and you just drop to the floor.
Yeah, literally, I went to drop and I was like, whoa. I just sat back down in the bed. I was like my legs are just locked. Like I was like, just in a perfect L shape.
That's me done for the day. Just get back in bed.
Yeah, yeah.
So when you first got told that the Unit 10 series was going to happen, like what was your first thoughts on it?
So the first thoughts was for reaching a 10 was I was like, yeah, there is a lot of talk about us doing like stuff online, like wrestling shows online. I was like, but I'm not. I was like, I'm not gonna hold my breath. If it doesn't happen, I don't mind. I don't mind like training and waiting for when we can get fan shows again. And then it was literally like it must have been within like a couple of weeks before it even happened. And then they're like, yeah, we're gonna do it. I was like, oh really? It's like, yeah, we're gonna do it in a couple of weeks. They're like, this is the set time that we might do it. And it's like, oh okay. And then like a couple of weeks before, they're like, yeah, we're gonna do it. And it's like, oh okay, we're just gonna pull the trigger like that. That's cool. And I was like, okay. He's like, yeah, and you'll be making your debut. And I'm like, right, okay.
And not only have you made your debut, you've had 3 matches from the 3 episodes. And so let's talk through your debut match. So it was a tag team match. You was teaming with Amadeus against Blake Harrison and Xander Gray. What was that like? Because you looked very lively, and I think again with your character, I know you mentioned like intensity and things like that, but I think in all your matches you're showing quite a lot of resilience as well.
Yeah, that first match, that was it. See, because we never do. I never did a tag match, or even like obviously you see it in like wrestling, but you don't really until you're like in there in the tag match, you don't really know how to act properly. So I was like, well, if I just act like I want to, which is like a bit of intensity and a little bit of fire, making sure that I don't give up. There's not much I can really go wrong. Um, it like obviously again it was one of it's weird. It's like even though I was like nervous leading up to it, as soon as I got in there, I didn't. I felt like fine. It was really weird. It's like a weird. It's almost like it makes you nervous how calm you are. Well, I'm in here now, and the effects of the build up have worn off. So now I've just got to go in there and like just release all the pressure and just like go in there and just show them that like that we can go. So.
Yeah. So when you get on Twitter and you're seeing all the notifications, I know I'm not sure if you had Twitter at the point of the first episode.
Yeah, yeah, I went Facebook and Instagram, and then I think it was like towards week 2 is when I made a Twitter.
Yeah. So how did you feel from like the feedback everybody was giving about the show?
Um, what just like just people in general,
Like
like
fan reaction, your
yeah.
peers?
Well, that's the thing. I made sure that, I was marketing a hell of a lot on like to people back home. I just
Yeah.
wanted like whether it's like just mates or like even it's just like out of nowhere, I just messaged like a group chat like who's excited for Friday at 7 p.m. and they're like, "What's at Friday 7 p.m.?" I'm like, "This." Like I showed them like this is at Friday 7 p.m. Can I have a look? Um, like the reactions that I got were like, you know, everyone thought it was like a good debut, which like obviously will help with like the confidence.
Yeah.
But there was like obviously I'm like making sure that people who are like, because obviously it's good hearing feedback, but you want to hear it from a fan's perspective, so
Yeah.
they're not losing it. You know what I mean? Like they're not seeing the match and like going ah. But obviously like it's like you'll pick up on the little things because you've been training or you've been watching wrestling for years. But if
Yeah.
you show any of those matches to a fan, a lot of times they won't pick up on a lot of mistakes unless you make it blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
Unless like people freeze and they're like, unless the mistake is very obvious, they won't notice it, which is nice because then it like gives you a bit of a let off because like I'll look at something, I'll go, oh, I look at it, I'm like, oh, I could have done that a bit better. Then I think I watched the first week. I watched the week 1 episode. I went back to my dad's for the weekend so I could see it with my family, and they were like, oh, I look good, and I'm like, oh, did it? I'm like, nice. I'm like, okay, good. Like this is like what I can see from a fan's perspective is what how people would react to it. So I'm like, okay, yeah,
Yeah,
from
definitely.
like, it's good.
I spoke to Echo something similar as well because when she hit a Shining Wizard on LA, she pulled a face flush, and
Yeah,
because she thought she'd absolutely clocked her one, and I was like, but from an outside perspective, not knowing that story, it just plays into your character. So
yeah,
some of these like facial expressions or shocked, it can play into the character, which is good. And speaking of fans, so Reach Unit 10 Night 1,
mm.
1,500 views so far. And then Night 2 is at 2,100 views. How does that feel knowing they're your first 2 matches and they've been viewed 3.6K?
Yeah, it is a weird feeling. It's like, they have blown up a lot. Like I didn't I don't know why, but like you don't really expect things to be as big as they are. And like that is a big deal. Like getting like numbers like that, like it's a very, very strong start considering that's like what, like the first couple like that's literally the first 2 weeks. Like you don't really expect that sort of feedback. And then like you hear like people who've been watching it, like I think there's been like some like other big wrestlers who've watched it in like the Southwest scene. And I'm just there like it's like insane how like they could have seen my match, and I'm just there like 3,600 people seeing it. Like it's just crazy to me.
It's great to see like how many people are watching it, and there's been so many of your peers. Again, I saw Luke Phoenix tweeting about Reach, and that was a great job. And again, he's one of those people you'd mentioned where if he's watching your matches, it's great, and when he's praising, that's always a good thing. And it's good to see those numbers going up. So by the time people are listening to this, episode 3 has dropped, and hopefully that will surpass the 2.1 thousand viewers. And I think it's you all deserve the credit. Like what's been done is incredible. The numbers are fantastic. It's predominantly people that are in the academy or just breaking out of the academy. And for that to get those sort of figures is incredible. And I think it's only going to help Reach and you guys grow so early. And for so early in your career, being on such a platform is a fantastic opportunity for you to grow. And when wrestling goes back to normality, it's going to be really interesting to see what the careers look like with the Reach guys.
Yeah, yeah, very true. I just felt like there's like so much stuff which like especially with the lack of almost like British wrestling at the moment with like COVID, like this sort of this sort of like free show territory is like very, very useful to obviously reach, especially as like a brand. It will help grow it because if no one else is doing Brit wrestling, then we're showing as much as we can, and that's the thing. I feel like us as a show, it's not just like a oh yeah we show like obviously we show a lot of styles, like different styles. People are hard hitting or submission, anything like that, high flying, but overall you can tell we've got that like British charm to it. Like it's not just us mimicking American style. It's us, if anything, mimicking British style. Like we're all trying to make sure that it looks not quite old school, but everything looks great and everything looks tight and everything looks,
Yeah.
all put together.
Now, as I was watching episode 3, I think, especially like in the first few matches as well, all I kept thinking was you can tell these guys are getting trained by some of the best grapplers in Britain because there's a lot of mat based and there's a lot of chain wrestling and that traditional British style. But then everybody's got their own flavour, like you said, with the hard hitting, the high fly, and the submission, because nobody is the same. Have you found it difficult to like not be like everybody else?
Um, Obviously everyone has to have their own style. One thing for me was making sure that I establish a move set that isn't the same as everyone else's. Because it's not quite like you could throw a line just the same as everyone else, but because it's you, you're gonna throw it differently.
Yeah.
It's just like that's just natural. Like you're not gonna throw it the same way as LA Taylor or Lucky. Like you're gonna throw it differently. So that's why like I also wanted to do stuff like why not do just a spinning back elbow? Like there's not like everyone throws a back elbow, but no one jumps and spins off of one. You
Yeah.
know? And that's just me adding a bit of flair to mine. And
Apart
that's
from Chris Jericho in AEW,
apart from Chris Jericho, yeah.
you
Apart
you must not hate it that much.
Yeah, I was gonna say, well, that is kind of where I stole the spinning back elbow from. Was from well, not quite, in fact, not quite.
Yeah.
It was more when he used to come off the second rope and hit a spin back elbow. I'm like, well, I could just do that standing. I could just do that like jump and spin back elbow. I stole it. I stole it from Jericho. You caught me. That's why I wanted to do like the Russian leg sweep as well. Like that's something that don't get saying that moves don't get credit, but I don't see it as often as it could be used.
Yeah.
I feel like it's so useful from any perspective. Like it literally looks like you're pulling them back. I feel like it's so effective.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think with a lot of the older moves, they're so simple to do, but
Yeah,
nobody's using them now. And it's as if you're seeing more and more stuff from the past creeping back in, and people are appreciating it because they've not seen it used. Because instead, people want to flip over, do 20 different
yeah,
moves, and then have the same result.
yeah,
Like, and that's not a knock on like the more indie or even the more AEW style. Because again, to some degree, I like it. But when it's in every single match, sometimes you just appreciate the smaller and
yeah.
simple things. Because when you make those look great, then you're winning.
Yeah, I mean going back to what you said about styles. That's like um that's always just what I think. I just think if I can make something simple look really really good, like if you can make if you throw a line and when you throw a line it looks really convincing.
Yeah,
Like there's nothing that you can do which is like there's nothing that people can take away from that and go, oh, that didn't look that good. Like people are gonna see that and they're gonna go, he's killed him, like he's taken
yeah,
off Barrett, and like they kick out two and they're like, that's unbelievable. Like it's all based on how convincing you throw it. Like the spin back elbow, if I don't jump for it, it will look like I've caught them in like I don't know, like the
yeah,
intestines or something. Like I gotta make sure that when I throw it, it looks good. Same with that, like running blockbuster.
yeah,
Uh, like, we went over it, and I was like gonna do one from the second rope. I started doing it from the second rope, and then I remember we were like, can you do like a running one? I'm like, a running one. I'm like, what? You mean like Only Lorcan? And like, you see Only Lorcan do it, and you think like no one can do that. Like he literally flips in the air and
yeah,
just takes their neck. And I'm like, I don't know if I can do it. And I did. It looked good. I'm like, really? It's like, yeah. I'm like, looks like I'm doing it then. If it looks good, I'm going to do it.
So when you got told of the 8-man tournament to crown the number one contender for Joey Seven's Reach Academy title, like what was your thought process on that? Because here you are, you've just had your debut match, and now you're getting thrown in somewhat the deep end in this tournament.
That's pretty much exactly what I thought. I thought I've just had my debut and I'm getting put in the tournament, and not only am I getting put in the tournament, I'm like making something of it, I'm not just out in the first round,
Yeah,
I'm gonna make something of it, and that's like the main thing is obviously you got the matches in between that are like the tag matches and stuff like that, but like that sort of stuff like on a tournament style is stuff that like I don't know, it's like you see like the Cruiserweight Classic or
yeah,
like the King of the Ring, like those matches, like if it's a good enough match, they're matches that I remembered forever because it's King of the Ring, or
yeah,
like it's a big deal. That's when someone got their like shining moment. So like having a tournament like that where number one contenderships on the line, people are watching. It's not just going to be like a throwaway
yeah,
sort of tournament or throwaway segment or anything like that. Like everything is going to mean something. So if that's when I'm, making sure that when I'm in the ring, I'm like making sure I'm throwing some extra sting
mm,
on punches, or I'm making sure everything is at least trying to look crisp. You
yeah,
know, stuff like that is when it really matters because everyone's watching. Is what
yeah.
I felt from that.
So again, going back to figures, 2.1 thousand people have seen your first ever singles match, and you come out victorious against Blake Harrison. How did that feel?
It felt pretty good. It was a really good moment just because obviously coming off the tag match,
Yeah,
you lose. It's not ideal, and then you go into the tournament and then I get a singles win too. Like that's primarily where I like to sit.
yeah,
I'm not saying you can't be a tag specialist, but I don't know. I just feel way more comfortable with a singles match. That's just because obviously it's just you.
yeah.
Like if you mess up, that's on you. so yeah, it was a pretty good feeling. Um, hitting my finish felt satisfying. It was all the good stuff. I felt like it was a really good match as well. Like I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, so did I. And again, I think I actually ended up tweeting again, saying again, like I said last week, resilience shown, and this time, you've come out on top for it. And even in episode 3, again, that resilience. So, how did you feel knowing you was going to be facing Jason King in the? He's calling himself the Cinderella Man.
Yeah, it's it's tricky because in a way I like a challenge. So you see it as what it is, which is it's a challenge, But then I take into account, the he's got that old school, you know, tendencies of he don't really he'll bend the rules if he has to. He
Yeah,
doesn't, he's not fussed about doing that. And yeah, just hearing that I was going to face him was, it felt kind of good because then I could put some boots to him. I could show him that I can go just as well as he can. It was more to be able to prove myself than anything else.
yeah. You definitely did that. Like one of the tweets that I've sent out for episode 3 was so impressed by Jordan Sparks for what his third match of his career, making Jason King look less like Cinderella, and then in brackets man, and more like one of the ugly stepsisters. So impressive. Um, but no, you did really well, and again with the British style, like that you mentioned, it was that like there's so much with the just mat base, and I really enjoyed the story that he was telling, and it took Jason using underhanded tactics to try and get that win. But
Yeah.
overall, how did you feel about that match looking back at it?
Looking back at it, I'm not gonna look back on it in anger or anything like that. Obviously, it sucks getting cheated out of a number one contendership spot, but it is what it is. So I'm not gonna I'm not gonna get bitter or spiteful towards it. I'm just gonna take it in my stride. I mean, I came that far. Semi-finals, third match in. I'm more than happy with my progress so far. And yeah, the match itself, it felt great. It was like, in my eyes, it's like as well a series as you're gonna get.
Yeah.
It was a lot of holds, a lot of different maneuvers. So, I'm not gonna be upset about my performance. It is what it is.
Nah, again, fantastic job against one of your trainers, and um, I'm excited to see what's next for yourself. So that begs the question, like, what's next for Jordan Spark, especially in Unit 10?
What's next, Jordan Sparks? I mean, all I'm gonna say is just keep watching.
Yeah.
I am gonna be on Unit 10 in the future. Don't worry about that. I'm gonna be having matches. I'm aware that at the moment it looks a bit dim, but I'll come back out of it. Don't worry. I'll
What are
be.
your goals for Reach?
Um, See, I've got a lot of goals. I don't know whether it's a wise decision to say right now publicly what my bucket list is. Big bucket list for me is match with Joel Redman. Like that's a goal that I am working towards because I don't know, I just want it like
Nah,
like
100%. Like, if you're a wrestler in the Southwest and you do not want to be in the ring with Joel Redmond, then you do not want to be at the top of your game.
exactly, it's literally being in the ring with the best. And this is the thing, like even if to say the match isn't that great and I get ripped into it for it, like I'm getting ripped into by the very best.
Yeah.
Like there's no one else that I prefer to hear those words from other than him.
Yeah.
That obviously the Academy title, that's got to be like one of the biggest goals right now for me. It's like working towards. That's why it did sting a bit, obviously getting cheated out of it, but I'm here now. I got to work towards it in a different light, different way. Got to work my way back up that ladder again.
Yeah. So in episode 3 as well, we saw a vignette of like our mutual friend Omega Luke going to be making his debut, like spinning off this YouTube sensation stuff. What
Yeah.
can people like? What can people expect from Omega Luke? Like, are you looking forward to seeing him come into Unit 10?
Yeah, yeah, of course I am. Obviously, he came across very cocky, but
Oh, he did.
yeah, definitely very cocky is the word. Um, but I'm always looking forward to it. Like he's a very good friend of mine. And with Omega Luke, honestly, just the way I've been seeing him train, he's been putting in a lot of effort recently. Like
Yeah.
almost a lot, like too much. Like, well, he's definitely ready. So I'm just going to say expecting the unexpected because whatever he does, it's going to be good.
Yeah, no, I'm excited, and when Omega Luke does finally enter Reach Unit 10, like, make sure to check out the KO show because Omega Luke will be coming on to speak about his debut once that's happened. So stay tuned for that. But going back to yourself, then, like you mentioned in the ring with Joel, the Reach Academy title. What are your bigger goals? Like, what are your bigger goals in wrestling?
Um, Bigger goals. I mean, obviously, I love to travel. Like
Yeah,
obviously, everyone says that they want to go to Japan, they want to go to America. Honestly, right now, the biggest thing for me is if I couldn't make it anywhere else, like America, or NXT, possibly AEW,
yeah,
um, New Japan, All Japan. If I can never get into anywhere like that, I'd love to go to like Germany, just because of family based, and also because I don't know, like I just see their style, and it's like it is very similar to British. I think that's what it is. It's
yeah,
like see the American style. As much as I love it, like there's just something about the British style that's got that, like it's got its own flavor to it. Like
yeah,
this, Germany, they've got their own style. Like it's like catch sort of style. You know what I mean?
yeah. So, is there any plans on going to Germany in the future?
Yeah. So the plan is that this summer I'm gonna try and book into wXw. That's the plan. I'm gonna go with I'm basically getting over there because I wouldn't have like thought about going this early, but
Yeah,
it was literally COVID related. Like COVID related has one of my friends that used to wrestle back from, he was from Swansea as well. He said, literally, he put up a picture the other day of just him getting back into shape, and I said as a joke, getting back into wrestling, are you? And then he went, no, that's literally it. And I was like, oh, okay, so you are. He's like, yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. He's like, I was actually going to message you about that actually. I want to go wrestle at wXw for a week. And I'm like, oh, I'm like, that's cool, good luck. And he's like, no, I want you to come along too. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah, yeah. And I was like, right, okay. I'm like, I best book the accommodation and stuff like that. He's like, just stay with me. We're literally like a drive away. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's like amazing. Like, if I didn't have that opportunity, like, I don't want to be a wrestler. Like that's obviously opportunity I have to take. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm down. Should I be saving some money now?
Yeah. What is it about wXw then that predominantly that's the one that you want to go have a look at?
Um, I would, say I've seen their matches. I've seen
Yeah.
the way it's been put together on like the network, and I just feel like their matches are just like so good, and there's like a lot of intergender stuff. Like they don't care about that sort of thing. Kind of like Reach, they
Yeah.
don't care about that sort of stuff. Everyone's welcome. Um, Germany obviously family related too. That's another big step. Is I've got a lot of family from Austria that live over in Germany,
Yeah.
so that's like another side. And then the third is obviously a huge fan of the NXT UK stars that come from there, like Walter, Ilya Dragunov,
Yeah.
especially. Um, don't want to say that I ripped off his move, but I literally used the Russian suplex in Blade Test. So, he's I'm very high on him at the moment. So, if anything, it would just be great because I even thought to myself, like, even if out of all of those people that go to that camp, like, even for the week, even if I'm like the worst one there, like, I'm not doing for anything as good as I used to in Reach. At least I'm still going to learn.
Yeah.
I'm still going to learn for that week. I'm still going to pick up stuff, and I know that I'm going to be able to better myself from that.
Yeah, definitely. It's really exciting to see like there's a couple of you that still so young and early in your career, and again, Reach are encouraging you to do it as well. So they're encouraging you to go train with other places, go train in other countries. So it'll be exciting to see what you learn from that and what you like when you come after a week in Germany. I'd recently spoken to Endakara. He's a Swedish based wrestler, and when we actually recorded the interview, he was in wXw Academy. I think it was like his second or third week. He was doing 3 weeks there, and he just sang their praises as well. So again, I think especially if it's not in the UK, that's the place to go to train with wrestling, especially in Europe. So good luck with that. Like I'm sure it's going to be painful.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not expecting an easy ride, that's for sure. I'm not.
So you mentioned like WWE and stuff like that, and how does it feel that whilst you're breaking through to the wrestling scene, NXT UK's here? Like, not saying it makes it easy to get there because everybody still has to bust their ass, and the UK is full of fantastic wrestlers up and down the country. But something that used to be, we can take say 2 people from the UK to America, but now there's their own performance center here, and something that used to be so unattainable is now attainable. Like, how does that feel for you? Like, as an upstart in wrestling?
Yeah, I mean, now more than ever is like when you realize that although obviously everyone says, oh, well, wrestling's not, viable. Like now more than ever, it's as viable as it's going to get. Like it's not just it's not just with the promotions that are breaking out like Reach and like the plenty of Southwest organizations. It's also the fact that there's like an actual like way to get into the WWE rather than just going screw it, I'm moving to America. I'm just going to try it now and see if I can. If I can't, I can't. It's like you're gonna have people reaching out to you now, like with social media as well, especially like people will reach out. And on top of that, you got people who will put in good names for you. Having NXT UK there is like, if anything, obviously like that's like end game for me. But
Yeah.
obviously that's a place that you'd love to be. Like not just for the sake of that, it's like WWE and NXT. It's the sake of that the fact that you're working with so many like great talents. Like and with it being UK, that's just encompassing Europe as well. Like even though it says NXT UK, like that like most of the stars are just going to be UK or Europe. Like it's going to be you're going to get a range of everything there, which is the best part.
Yeah, definitely. And um, I think it is a fantastic time. Like even with like NXT UK aside, because of the amount of people that have been signed there, it's just creating so many gaps for other people to try and take their spots that they've left on the independents. So it does make it a lot more viable. And yeah, again, like really excited to see what's next for you in Reach Unit 10. Excited for next summer when you go to wXw. I think that'll be a fantastic experience for you. So enjoy that as best as you can. Where can people find you on social media?
Social medias, I got Facebook, which is just Jordan Sparks PW Pro Wrestler. Instagram, Jordan Sparks PW again, and then I got Twitter, which is at Jordan Sparks 7.
Yeah.
On all three of them.
Oh, fantastic. So make sure you do go follow Jordan. Make sure you subscribe to Reach Wrestling so you're not going to miss out on any of the Unit 10s. Again, they drop every Friday, 7 p.m. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you've watched episode 1, 2, and 3 back, and make sure you tune in to episode 4. Jordan, thank you for coming on. It's been really great talking to you, learning about yourself, especially so new in your career. And I'll say it like I do everybody else. It'll be really good to have you on maybe like a year's time once you've got more under your belt, and we'll just keep following your career. And especially when you've been to wXw, we'll have to have a chat about your experiences there as well.
Of course, yeah. I love that, yeah. I'm available anytime, so don't worry about it. Thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Nah, thank you. So everybody, that was the interview with Jordan Sparks. Again, go make sure you go give him a follow. Make sure you follow Reach and subscribe to their YouTube channel. If you've enjoyed this interview, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe so you're not going to miss out on any of the other Reach interviews or the other interviews that I'm doing at the moment. I'm looking in, again, the Southeast Asian wrestling scene, the Scandinavian wrestling scene, and then some other countries are popping up. You can have a look in my little bio on Twitter, see what countries I've interviewed for. I've been Johansson. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.